Good morning. Today is, everybody can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning. Today is May 15th, 2024, and the time is 9:02 a.m. My name is Carolyn Stapleton. I'm serving as the chairman of today's parole panel. My colleagues on the panel today are Mr. Byra and Mr. Tillis. And the panel today is at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. Would the staff please introduce yourself here at headquarters?
Carla Williams, Whitney Trail Square.
Okay, our remote location is at LSP. With the staff at the facility, introduce yourself for the record, please.
Deputy Warden Tracy Falgood, Regional Admiral Classification.
Carmen Shipley, Offender Records.
Jody Sturgeon, Program Consultant, Transition.
Okay. Please introduce yourself, Mr. Grant, stating your name and your DOC number for the record.
John Grant, 287-969.
Okay, I will read some information into the record and ask you to verify it. And then we're going to conduct a parole interview, and your case has been assigned to Mr. Barrow. He would take the lead on the interview. Once the interview is completed, we will ask the warden for his input. His or her, it's the male, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Okay, and then also we will allow your supporters to speak. Okay, I have your recorded name as John Grant. Your DOC number is 287-969.
Right.
Your okay, and your birth date is 12/1/69.
Yes,
You're okay. You're a fourth class offender. Your offenses are possession with the intent to distribute Schedule 2, third felony habitual offender. Your sentencing date was January the 7th, 2004. You were sentenced to life. Your parole date is August the 1st, 2021. Your good time date is not eligible. You have a full term date of life.
Yes.
Is all of that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, Mr. Barra is gonna start with your case.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Got a couple questions. I know there's always two sides to every story. I wanted to ask you about the armed robbery that you were charged with that occurred on May 4th, 1990, and you got convicted of simple robbery.
Yes, I did.
What was the circumstances of that offense there?
I went in with a weapon, demanding money. And, during that time, I just felt that, with a weapon, I could obtain things that I wanted to have. But today, that's not me. Today, I'm a changed person. I don't see that being my life anymore.
So you're telling me that the reason you did it was for money?
Yes, sir.
All right. How about the aggravated burglary, which occurred on 2/20/92, where you got convicted of the aggravated burglary? What was that? A house, a building? How did that happen?
Yes, sir. It was a house, and it was 1992. And during that time, I was living that lifestyle, and I'm not proud of it. I'm really ashamed of it. But inside a residence with a weapon, demanding money.
So the same thing. You just went to.
Yes, sir. That was the lifestyle I was living during that time, and like I said, I'm ashamed of it. And that's not me today. I've taken programs, programming to help me deal with those situations.
Okay. And what about the possession of the firearm charged by a felon in 97? Well, how did that come to be?
I think I was in possession of a firearm, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was doing a routine traffic stop in my neighborhood of Cedar Grove, Shreveport, where I got pulled over for an expired inspection sticker, and I was found to be in possession of a firearm then.
All right. Then you ended up with the instant offense, but I got another question about armed robbery. You had armed robbery, 3 counts on 12/11/97 that was dismissed. I'm assuming part of this plea here. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What was that? What was those 3 armed robberies about, and why do you think they were dismissed?
Well, it was during, it was during the time that you know, I had a weapon. I just felt, that I could obtain the things that I wanted with a gun. And, it was, I had a weapon, sir, and I just went inside the restaurants with it.
Robbery charged with, you know, that wasn't because simply you had a gun. Can you
Yes.
tell me about the 3 armed robberies? That's 3 separate people, 3 people at one time? How did that go down?
Well, it was, me and a couple other guys who, went inside a restaurant demanding money.
From a bunch of people?
Yes.
All at the same time, one offense? that
No,
you-
no, at a different time, different law, different time,
Different times or one time where you robbed 3 people?
3 separate times.
3 separate times, okay. And the DA decided to dismiss that as
Yes.
part of the plea deal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then top it off with attempted second-degree murder in 03 that got dismissed also. What happened with that?
Well, I heard that the guy had broken into my residence and destroyed a lot of property of mine. So at that time, I was seeking revenge on him, and I ended up seeing him, and so I wanted to destroy his property. So once he took off, he cranked his vehicle up and started to drive off. I ended up shooting this vehicle up, but accidentally, I ended up shooting him. And my intent was not to harm him or hurt him or anything. I just wanted to destroy his property like he destroyed mine. And I'm ashamed of that fact that situation occurred. But like I say, that's not me today. I'm a changed man today. That's not my lifestyle I choose to live anymore.
Okay, and you told me that you're a changed man several times during this explanation. What changed?
Well, but the programs I've taken several programs like Thinking for a Change, Living in Balance, Anger Management, and 100 Hours, those type of programming. And I also was a cheer walker at TU here. It was a job I taken here. And I mentor guys that had suicidal thoughts and depression, and I mentor those guys, and letting them know that the importance of living and seeking God in their life. So that has brought me to be a changed man right there. Because I back then I never would speak to anyone in dealing with changing their lives or something.
I see you completed actually 14 classes in all. Congratulations on that. That's some good that you did. And I'm glad that you changed on that. I read a letter in the file from the Innocence Project that says you never suffered from addiction in their letter of 4/21/24. Is that correct? You never had addiction?
No, sir.
For the lifestyle, you're talking about the life. What was the life? The life was just a violence thing and not connected to drugs?
Yeah, the life of being connected to drugs. I always surrounded my life with drugs. And so I felt a necessary need to take Living in Balance, substance abuse, because I felt like just being around drugs was a habit also. It was, being addicted to being around drugs.
But it wasn't your habit, your addiction. You wasn't addicted. You were just around it.
I was just around it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was around drugs all the time.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Tiller, well, Warden, do you have anything that you'd like to say?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning to you all. Grant is, he's got 21 write-ups since he's been here. Got a couple of contracts. He has no intoxication write-ups in his record. You're speaking correctly on the fact that, for some time, he was a, tier walker, on the, extended lockdown tiers, where we have them walk to make sure that these guys are not harming themselves. He has, like you said, completed his 14 classes, the last one, being Thinking for a Change in, 23. He is currently a medium. He has also participated in the sober group here in January of 24, and currently working in TU as an orderly, and his Tiger is low for us right now.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we will have supporters. And we will start with, Lisa Wesley, the cousin,
Yes, ma'am.
okay?
First of all, I want to thank you all for allowing me to come and speak on John's behalf. I'm John's first cousin. His mom is my mom's sister. And I grew up with John.
Did it free? Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I can't hear.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear?
Yes, sir. Can I go ahead or you? I thought you was talking
Yeah,
to
I'm
me.
sorry.
Go ahead,
Okay,
continue.
yeah. We grew up as cousins, like sisters and brothers. Up until my mom had my brother when I was 5 years old. Even then, I would always spend the night with him, or he would always come spend the night with us. John was a good kid. We always did everything together, growing up, going to school, homework, wherever you saw one, you saw the other one. Even as teenagers, we still hung out together, stayed with my granny. And I think it was when my mom moved to the country when I was in 11th grade high school. I didn't want to go, but John was always the cousin that the whole family of cousins always wanted to be around because he was somewhat quiet, but if you needed him, he always was there. And I always had your back. I always had your back. And even being here incarcerated, when he left, it was hard on me because I had had a baby and went through a depression of a divorce. Um, and that son that I have is my only child. He's 27. And when John got locked up, he would call all the time and check on him and maybe put him on the phone as a little boy and say, hey, listen at your mom. And, you know, where I am, you're not going to want to come here because as a, you have to become a young man one day, and where I am, you're not gonna want to come. I appreciate that of him. And my son now is 27 years old. And like I say, he was 5 when John came, and those conversations that he had with him is the same conversations I have had with my son today, and he's never been in trouble. And he talks about John all the time because he remembered the conversations that John had with him. Also, growing up, we always used to say that John used to say he wanted to be a wrestler. Then he would say he wanted to be a football player. And then I said, well, I want to be a police officer. He said, well, we both gonna be one. Well, I'm not a police officer, but I am a security guard of 26 years. And I started when my son was 1. And when I told him, he was like, what? How you doing that? Are you serious? Well, stay with it because like you love to talk. So I know you'll be the one to save a lot of people out there in them streets so they won't have to come down here. And that's what, the reason why I wanted to come today, because I do see a lot. I see a lot of our young brothers and sisters that I work at a hospital, and I see a lot of them. I started out as a security guard at a casino for 9.5 years. I started out, I also worked at a federal halfway house with federal inmates, and I saw a lot, heard a lot. And now even in the hospital, I see them come through shot up, banged up, and I install it in my son, and I tell him, hey, that world is not out there. And he always said, well, I know what your cousin told you, so I'm never going to jail, Mom. John had a good heart. And getting older, like I say, once I moved to the country with my mom and he was still in the city, we kind of grew apart a little bit, talked every day on the phone all the time. But around my grandmother's house, Cedar Grove was a high rate of drugs, and John had everything. And
Feel like
jealousy,
John's gonna be a role model for you children where he could be released. That's basically what you're saying, that he would be able to be someone to say, don't do what I've done,
don't do what I
learn
do.
from my mistakes.
Yes, ma'am. He was always the one that told us, hey, don't do that. If he saw somebody doing something that they was not supposed to be doing, he would do it. My mom, and the reason why I say he played a big part in my life, as a little girl, I watched my mom get stabbed and shot. And if it wasn't for him as a 4 and 5 year old girl telling me that, hey, Cause just call me. I know I can't do nothing. I mean, we just kids, just call me. I would call him just for support. And he was that person that I could call to say, hey, my mom just got stabbed. Nobody, and these aunties are hearing this for the first time because I never talked about it except for to John.
We're
And
gonna right now and let the Innocent Project speak and the Parole Project. Are you okay with that? Because I
Yes,
know
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
you love him very much.
Yes, ma'am.
He's got strong family support.
Yes, ma'am. Very, and he was that strong cousin that we all have. But like I say,
Okay, so from Innocent Project, we have Virginia White.
Hi, good morning.
good
My
morning.
my name is Virginia White, and I'm the Client Services Specialist at the Innocence Project New Orleans. And I've worked with Mr. Grant to collaborate on a reentry plan designed to provide him with structure, accountability, and the necessary support for successful integration. A crucial aspect that we focused on is secure and stable employment and housing, because we recognize that those play important roles in his journey towards self-sufficiency and rehabilitation. We're beyond excited that he has been accepted into LPP, where his growth will only continue, and he'll receive employment and case management support, ensuring his continued growth. Mr. Grant has identified clear goals that emphasize his desire to obtain CDL and also his long-term housing plans in Baton Rouge. And he specifically pointed out Baton Rouge, which I think, I guess, supports his positive change in decision-making of removing himself from an environment that he feels like he can't grow and wanting to live in Baton Rouge for his future goals. And we're committed to helping him reach those goals. So we've worked on developing short-term and long-term goals just to develop a realistic timeline. And he has our continued support as well. We will help support with family. As you can see, he has a strong relationship with his cousins and with his mother, and we want to continue to build on that as well. Mr. Grant briefly spoke about his programming, and he's learned several vital skills in DOC programming, and it's transformed his views on life and also how he interacts with others. And he's now equipped with skills needed to effectively navigate reentry and life. And so that goes back to decision making. And now he has the skills and the tool set to respond to situations differently. And his goals are different now. And based on my interactions with Mr. Grant, I'm confident in his ability to succeed with the strong support systems identified in his reentry plan. But most importantly, I'm confident in the positive change that he's made that will serve as the foundation to his success. If he's granted parole today, we are ready and committed to support him to ensure that he meets any conditions deemed appropriate by the board. Please let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. White, very much. Okay, now we'll move on to Mr. Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project.
Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here on behalf of Mr. Grant. We've worked collaboratively, with the Innocence Project with Mr. Grant. And we accepted Mr. Grant because we've looked at his entire record, his programming, his maturity, his growth. You know, this is a case, one of the goals of incarceration is rehabilitation. And this is a case where we believe that the system has worked. Mr. Grant has taken advantage of the opportunities he's had. And we're prepared to help him through his transition, working with IPNO. He'll go through initial transition here in residence in Baton Rouge with us. He has a long-term residence plan. We will help him through that transition, through the skills, life skills that he needs during that transition, connecting him to services in addition to that. Once he leaves us, we will work again collaboratively with IPNO to support continue to support his transition. And so we would, again, just without just elaborating anymore, ask this board to consider the support systems that he has, the reasons we've accepted him, and to grant his release with any conditions you deem appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Now we'll go to the attorney, which is, I hope I say it right, Ms. Newswanger or Wanger.
Yes, ma'am. Newswanger, you got it right the first time.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Thank you and good morning. My name is Caitlin Newswanger. I'm with Innocence Project New Orleans, the Unjust Punishment Project. We have been representing folks who are eligible under Act 122, which was passed in 2021 for some time now. And that's how we got involved in Mr. Grant's case. And, you know, just sitting back and listening to all the questions and the conversation that we've had this morning, I completely understand why Mr. Grant's criminal history might give this panel reason to pause or concern. And you've heard from him today about how he's acknowledged this past and that it was a violent past, but how these decisions that he's made in the past have haunted him and continue to haunt him, so that he has used them as a catalyst for change. I have to emphasize that some of the convictions and arrests that you've asked him about occurred when he was in his 20s and or early 20s, and then again in his late 20s. Now Mr. Grant is in his 50s. He's had 21 years to reflect over the decisions that he's made in his past, and he's used this time. He hasn't taken it for granted, as you already have heard from Mr. Grant himself and from the materials that we've submitted. I think the most remarkable thing about Mr. Grant, and of course this is just from getting to know him for over a year now, is his experience, how he's come full circle with his past and confronted that through his experience working as a tier walker. This is a really difficult job. It's not just going through and having food thrown at you sometimes, or making sure that people are still there. He would sit and listen to these men. These are men who had thoughts of suicide. They expressed this to him. And this experience that he worked for over 10 years really helped him come full circle with his past, where he was involved in experiences that he was confronted with violence, and now he's coming full circle where he's trying to counsel these men and to convey empathy to them. And I think that is a really remarkable thing given his past, is that he has developed this fine skill or emotion, if you will, of empathy. And empathy is not something that is always intuitive, right? Some people are born with it, and some people learn empathy through harsh lessons. And I think Mr. Grant has learned this emotion of empathy, and he's used it to reflect on the stark regrets of his past, but he's also used empathy to set goals and a focus for his future. And I'm not gonna, again, like as Mr. Meyer said, he has a very strong reentry plan. And I think that this is one of his other strengths, is that he is holding himself accountable by making a conscious decision to go to Baton Rouge, not to return to an environment where he knows there is a past. And so I hope that you can see the empathetic individual that sits next to me that I have seen over the past year. And for these reasons, we respectfully request that you would grant Mr. Grant's parole today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, sir, Mr. Grant, it's your opportunity to address the board in closing.
First of all, I would like to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to be heard today. I cannot undo my past. The past I'm not so proud of myself, but my plans is to move forward with a brighter future. During the 21 years of my incarceration, I've taken the necessary steps not to leave prison in the same manner in which I came. I've taken programs to better myself, especially in the areas where I needed the most. I have the strength and determination to live a successful life. I have grown to know the risks and the consequences of making poor decisions and thinking negative toward positive situations. Today, I'm older and a lot wiser, and I will make a difference in my community if I'm granted release. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's important that you understand that we have extensive law enforcement opposition at this time. The judge in Caddo is opposed, district attorney is opposed due to extensive criminal history. The sheriff is opposed and the police chief is opposed. There's nothing that you can do about that, but it is something that you should be aware of.
Yes, ma'am.
So at this time, if everybody's ready, we'll be ready to take a vote. We will start, since the lead off is Mr. Barra. He will start off with.
Like I told you before, I'm impressed with the amount of classes you did and the tier walking and all that while in jail. However, you have a really bad criminal record. Convicted 4 times with multiple charges dismissed. You also have serious concerns about your behavior on supervision. You had 2 periods of supervision before, which both of them ended up with you getting arrested for new charges while you were being supervised, and both of them ended up in revocations. Although there's no victim in this instant offense today, during your criminal record, you have created lots of victims, and I'm sure you're aware of that. Like she said, there's strong law enforcement opposition to it. The Caddo Parish District Attorney even says they're opposed to release for Mr. Gant because of his extensive criminal history. As a habitual offender, Mr. Grant has established recidivist, and our office believes that he is highly likely to reoffend if granted parole. He poses a continuing danger to the public, and for those reasons, we oppose parole. So that causes me a little problem too. So today, I vote to deny your parole based on the criminal record, the law enforcement opposition, your prior probation and parole record. I think that you ought to continue what you're doing in jail and continue the positive improvements and reapply again at a later date. That's my vote for the day.
Mr. Tillis?
Good morning, Mr. Grant. How are you?
All right, how you doing, sir?
I read your case and I think you're doing a good job. I take my hat off to you.
Thank you.
I believe that you are changing. I really do. And I commend you for all of the courses and stuff you've taken.
Yes.
And I respect your family and these people who are supporting you. My vote's going to be to Grant. And I hope you continue to do or be positive while you're there.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Grant.
How you doing, ma'am?
I agree with both of the things that my fellow board members have said, but today, for the very reason that Mr. Barra stated, I'm going to vote for you to be a denial. I agree with him that you can come back for a later date and continue on the path that you're on. I think it's wonderful, and you do have family support that is unsurpassed. We had letters for you, and so that's very appreciated, and everybody that showed up for it. But as of today, this would be a denial. And this concludes our business today. We will adjourn at 9:30.
Thank you.